Hello, friends, and welcome. Today I have for you something rather special. You probably recognize this fountain pen. This is the Reform P125 that I've shown you in a previous video. I don't know if you remember, but this was a little bit broken here. It had a little cracks that allowed the ink to escape the barrel, the reservoir, and it was fitted with this simple iridium point Germany nib. This is a simple steel nib and slightly gold plated. You can see on the breather hole that the plating has gone. On the back you can see that there is slightly no gold plating left. This nib, it is a nice nib. It writes quite well, and it was fitted original on this fountain pen. And I also have the feed. I found on the internet this great looking Reform nib, also a Reform nib, but you can see that this is a special nib because it is a 14 karat 585 gold nib. But not only it's a gold nib, but it has also a nice flex, and I'll try to demonstrate. Look, it has a little flex. I said to myself, look, this is the nib, the steel nib, and this is the gold nib. You can see that they are approximately the same size. And I thought to myself that I can fit this gold nib in the place of the steel nib. And indeed, it worked quite fine, so I fitted the feed here, like this. And after that, I inserted it back in the body of the fountain pen. And you can see that it fits, but it has a little problem. I didn't open this section, and I don't know how, but if you push on it, it goes farther in. So I couldn't say it's a perfect match because much of the nib is inside, but it fits. And I tried to do some writing with it, but this problem, it is a really bad problem, and I simply dipped it in some ink, and I will do the same here to demonstrate. This isn't quite a Parker Quick ink. I had left a little quick ink, and I combined it with the Pellic 4001 with this type of ink. This was a royal blue, and I still have left some in the bottle, but I combined it with the Parker Quick, and I will dip this fountain pen in the ink. I leave it for 10 seconds. Okay, and I want you guys to show you how this nib writes. Let's focus. Okay, this is a Reform fountain pen. It has some little small problems, and I hope you can see the two tines. So they are one up on top of the other. This is one little tine, and this is the other little tine. So they are slightly misaligned, and that gives the sensation of a scratchy nib, but I assure you that this isn't a scratchy nib, and I hope you can hear. You will see that the feed, it isn't properly aligned with the nib, but I will try to write with it as it is. Now I want to show you the flexiness of this nib, and I hope it will show. So I don't want to force it because it is already misaligned, so those times. But I want to show you that there is a variation, and this indeed, it is a flexi nib. You see, it performs quite well. I will take this off. Okay. And now I will try to fit the original nib, the steel nib. And first you have to align the feed with the nib. And then you have to find a way to insert it. I've managed to do it. Of course, now I will dip this in the ink, and let's try writing sample with the steel nib. You can see that we have more ink flow, but this is due to the fact that I recently dipped it in ink. This has no variation. You can see that it's more smoother than the gold nib, but this has a problem with the misaligned tines. This steel nib is quite nice, but of course this hasn't a flex to it. It writes quite nice. I thought to myself, I have a broken Reform fountain pen, and I searched the internet, and there was one in my country, a Reform, this time a Reform Calligraph. I've noticed that it is in perfect condition because I want to show you the trimmings are immaculate, like it was a new fountain pen. You can see the clip, it is in perfect shape. Also, this imprint with Reform Calligraph, in time in the contact with the hands of the user, this gold lettering disappears in time, and it remains only the imprint. This Reform fountain pen, it is the same as the other fountain pen. You can't see the ink windows now because it is full of black ink. I believe I've used this Pelican 4001 Brilliant Black, but I bought this fountain pen especially to put this gold nib on it because I've seen that it fits this fountain pen, and this has the same shape, the same dimensions as the P125. I've also noticed this beautiful nib. Indeed, it is not a gold nib. It's like you see a BB Italic Reform Germany nib. It is a steel nib, gold plated, with two interesting breathing holes, not just one, like the classic nib. And you can see that the tip of the nib ends in this form. I hope you can see it's not iridium pointing. It doesn't have an iridium point. You also see that the feed is quite similar in shape and form. So I believe that I can fit this gold nib on this Reform fountain pen. And for this purpose, I have prepared just a little tissue, and I will try to remove this nib from this part. I don't know if it's a friction fit or I have to unscrew this part, so I will try unscrewing it first. So you simply grab and see if it moves. In this case, no, it is quite a secure fit. I don't want to force it, and neither should you force your fountain pen, because you could misalign the feed. The nib will stay as it is, but you would only remove the feed, and the feed doesn't remain aligned with the nib. As you know, I'm not a professional repairman, and an advice to you, all of you collectors of fountain pens out there. If it doesn't work using a little bit of force, don't try to do other steps to it. Don't abuse the force. Collecting and repairing fountain pen, it is a game for the patient ones. So, if you have to remove this part, you must dip it in water and leave it for a few days. The pressure or the force needed to remove this part will be much more lighter. Don't do like I've done in the past, where I tried to pull off, and I damaged the grip section, or worse, damaged the feed, or even the nib. This is a delicate nib. Even if it's a steel nib or a gold nib, they are quite thin. They are very easily bent if you apply too much force on them. I just wanted to show you that sometimes when, like the famous pelican, some nibs are interchangeable, and especially if you have a gold nib, and this nib, I think it's much older than the other two steel nibs, because we have this Reform, and you see the font in which is written, and I believe this is specific of the 50s or the 60s, and the other ones could be from the 70s or the 80s. This nib is quite a good nib. When I bought it, I didn't knew it had that flex, but it also has this tines misalign, and you can see right now, you can see from this picture that one little tine is slightly above the other. The tipping iridium is not affected, so it should be an easy fix, but I don't know how to repair this fountain pen. And please don't use some industrial instruments to try to bend it yourself. No. Leave it to a nib meister, even though this Reform fountain pen is not an expensive fountain pen. I believe that having in a collection some flexibile nibs is a win for everyone. I will leave you with this beautiful gold nib, and with the other nib that writes surprisingly well, and you can see it in the review that I've done of the Reform Calligraph fountain pen. As always, I wish you, and this time with a double broad italic nib, to have a nice day. Oh my dear. Oops. I think I let it, so this is a piston, and I will simply turn the piston until I see some ink. Let's see. Slightly, you can see the end. The end of the nib has all this ink on it. And let's see now if it writes. So as always, I wish you to, have a nice day. This isn't the way this fountain pen works, but let's clean it with the tissue. And this is the proper way that this pen writes. So, have a nice day. This is written with a Reform double broad italic nib. Beautiful, beautiful, interesting nib, and the only one in my collection. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, comment, and tell your friends about my channel. That's it. Bye bye.